Hi there, welcome to Lone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Pisces energy, and we're going to do this 10 card spread, and we're using this deck by Maruk X off their Etsy shop, kind of a combined Kipper and Lenormand deck, and see what's going on in Pisces energy. We're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because not everybody harnesses high vibe Pisces energy. Life's about learning lessons, and we're somewhere on the spectrum of having learned some lessons. And some people in their Pisces nature can be more caught up in the illusion of the world. Sure that if they make their life about these certain things or indulge in these certain things, that's the answer and they'll be happy. And some people are caught up in the illusion of themselves, and it's all more about them. And some people, kind of caught up in the illusion of love. I love love, but they don't kind of realize that, it doesn't stay in the beginning phases forever, and to keep it in that lighthearted and more balanced and stuff, it does take some work and effort. And some people think, no, I just like the beginning stages of love. That's the best part, and that's the part that they want to stay in forever. But kind of like where they maybe don't have to put in work and effort. So shadowy Pisces can be where you have illusions about what it means to be in a relationship, or say have a job, and they got some growing up to do. And other people have realized it is about truth and love and justice and fairness and acting with character and integrity. Being more high vibe Pisces is being more independent of your shadowy nature, because you grew up and you tempered your more immature nature. And some people are still quite immature. And if they indulge your more immature nature, they think other people should indulge them in their more immature nature. Okay, so I view this card as the overarching reason for the reading. Let's go see what it is. Sweetheart in reverse. Some people could not view some people as a sweetheart anymore. Maybe at one point in time they did. Pisces energy is emotional water sign energy. Some people had to get more balance within themselves. Here we have at the center of the reading, we have the gift of money, which could be like the Ace of Pentacles. Some people can be very loving and nurturing and supportive and encouraging, but they're kind of tipped out of balance. And they needed to put in with the Mountain card, which is Capricorn energy, and the Garden card, which is Libra, and the Stork, which is Aries. They needed to put some work and effort to get more balance within themselves, because they're inspired to give birth to something new. And if we keep doing what we've been doing and we're kind of tipped out of balance, that means we're probably in relationships with people who are happy we're kind of tipped out of balance. And you can be tipped out of balance in your loving nature, where you could be inspired to be this loving, nurturing, encouraging person to people to try to help them get more balanced, which is a good quality. But do we always want to spend all of our effort in the manifestation and like the Ace of Pentacles, always trying to help other people with the Mice card kind of work through getting more stable within themselves? There comes a point in time where I can be a loving and encouraging person to a lot of people in the world, but am I going to get in a more involved relationship and try to manifest a new beginning with you? If the Mice card can kind of represent that people have some issues in their foundation that kind of eat away at their more aligning with their more loving nature. And I can offer people love and encouragement, but until they Capricorn energy of the Mountain card, which also kind of reminds me of Virgo because it is a mountain, and Virgo energy kind of talk about overcoming those blockages within ourselves and others to get to the other side, but we have to do this work within ourselves to get balanced, to be inspired, to believe in ourselves, believe in our dreams, to grow and heal and mature ourselves. And that all takes putting in work and effort. And, Capricorn in shadow, represented by the devil, we could always be looking for more of the easy way out, the quick fix. And some people decide that's how they think it's just and fair to live their life that way. And then you could look at the manifestation card as kind of like a manipulation. I think it's just and fair for me not to put in that work and effort to deal with the truth of things that eat away at my foundation that could make me not more aligned with my loving nature. And I might think it's more just and fair. Shadowy fire sign energy can be where, I'm still kind of indulging my more immature worldly nature. And I think maybe I can just manipulate people to get them to hire me for a job or go into business with me or be my friend or date me or marry me. And they think they can keep hiding from these more shadowy ways of being, right? And we can all have these shadowy ways of being because we all have our shadow nature, right? We've all got fears. We all got insecurities. We all have some past pain and heartbreak. It's just that high vibe people eventually kind of get to a point where they don't like those things manipulating them. And Capricorn energy and high vibe is like freeing yourself from the devil, things that manipulate you. Sometimes, though, we have to come in contact with some other people to more clearly see how we do have some things that manipulate us. And so we might be drawn and attracted to certain people because those are the people that could be the people that force us to kind of do this work. Otherwise, we could keep staying in something that's a little shadowy, right? And that can kind of be the difference. Sometimes, again, at any stage of life, we have a certain way of viewing life. We have our fears, our insecurities, blah, blah, blah. We get in relationships with other people to some degree. We're kind of at a similar phase. Doesn't mean we have the same shadowy things that manipulate us. But to a degree, we're kind of on the same page where we have some things that could eat away at us. And maybe we just haven't learned to love ourselves. And I think learning to love yourself is a big thing. To believe that I deserve justice and fairness in a relationship and require that love be just and fair. If I treat you and I'm authentically loving and encouraging and supportive and I temper my ego, I want to be in relationships with other people who do that. But prior to that, I could have been repeating an old pattern because we'll all repeat a pattern until we learn the lesson we're meant to learn from it. So again, we could get in relationships with people that maybe in our Capricorn energy, with that card came out sideways. Capricorn energy can be about what do we view as victorious and successful? What are we kind of more caught up in these things of the world? And for the first 30, 40 years of our life, we could be fired up about the world and all these things we want to manifest because we think that's just and fair and we'll be happy. But then as time goes by, and we have manifested some of these things in the world, we've gotten some life experience, we've learned different lessons, we've kind of been in different jobs, different friendships, different relationships, we kind of have learned maybe what we do like, what we don't like, and we're kind of getting more clear about what more drives and motivates us, and also kind of willing to get out of denial because the truth sets us free. And high vibe Virgo energy, which this card again kind of reminds me of Virgo. The Ace of Pentacles can be Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus. Of these things of the world that I want to manifest, I could have been more caught up kind of in these things of the world. But then as time goes by, kind of what used to drive and motivate us could motivate us less. because then in our fire sign energy, we could be inspired by more. It's just like, same way you get a job, you might want a job, you get a job, but then as you're working in that job and you learn these lessons, same way in relationships, you could start to believe that, I think I have more skill and capability than I could have thought I had. And same way living life, we are going through these different ages of life and these different types of jobs, friendships, and relationships. And we could manifest some of those things, but it's just like having a job that, well, I have a job, but am I in a job that, do I have a job just to have a job? Do I get in friendships and relationships just to have a friendship, have a relationship? And we can do that for a while because those things can be really important to us. And community is important. But I want to have a job that I enjoy. I want to be working with people who I might think are more balanced, where before I could have been willing to indulge people more in their poor behavior. And, sometimes you have to build up like that job experience, right? And then later, when you do maybe feel more stable and balanced within yourself, then, you might think that, you're ready to take on more responsibility. And so then you could try to do that. And if the people that you're with, or if it's a job, the people you're working with, if they're willing to work with you, and then maybe the mice could be any concerns that people have. Same way in friendships and relationships, I might have some concerns about this. But are we willing to work together? And sometimes some places where we work and some friendships or relationships that we're in, they never were expecting to maybe do things differently. And they could have thought like you'd want to stay in that job forever. And, shadowy energy can be being kind of stuck and stagnant and doing the same thing over and over, because that's could be their comfort zone. So this card here, if you watch enough tarot, there's another deck of cards that has kind of like the garden and the gate. And, we can all stay in our comfort zone. We know how to work in our comfort zone. And that can be shadowy energy because we're kind of afraid of going out there, and we don't know if we could manifest what we manifest in our comfort zone out there, and it can be, well, I'm afraid if I leave this job, even though it might look like there's opportunities out there, I have to face my fears to kind of go into unknown territory. And if I were to not hang out with some certain people or get out of a relationship, and why would we do that? Because we could have different ways of harnessing our Capricorn energy of what we view as victorious and successful. Maybe one person is more about themselves or the ego or the image or indulgence, and maybe someone else is like, I like more of a balance of things. I want these things of the world, but I also want like truth and love and more balance and justice and fairness. And, I'm kind of inspired to believe that I can do that, or I feel like I have been doing it. And I might feel like some of the people I could have invested in don't ever want to step out of their comfort zone to give birth to anything new, which could just be, well, I guess it would maybe have to deal with those issues. Why do I have fear and insecurity of maybe being, more just and fair, more balanced? I'd have to maybe give up making my life about some more of these things in order to bring it more into balance, and maybe working more cooperatively with other people, or having more hope and faith and belief in myself or in others or in love. The manifestation, kind of like Gemini, Virgo energy of the magician. Do I use my unique gifts I've been given, which, of course, the gifts we've been given, the talents we've been given, is our emotional nature, our creative nature, our passionate nature, our mind, our thoughts, our creativity, our resources and assets we've been given in the world, from our looks to our charm to our physicality to our money, right? And some people are kind of would rather use those resources manipulatively, kind of like being a scammer. I think I can manipulate the truth. I think I can create this illusion that maybe I'm a more balanced person than I really am. I'm not more about myself. I'm not more egotistical. I'm not more materialistic. I'm not bossy or controlling or immature. And Libra energy, which anyone and everyone harnesses Libra energy, it can be a person's like public politician persona. And that's kind of how they try to present themselves in the world. Like, trying to maintain a public persona. I'm not too much this, I'm not too much that. I want everybody to kind of view me a certain way. And maybe it is so that they could have different options to be in a relationship with. Hopefully, hoping that other people will want to work with them, that people will kind of look over some of the, once they maybe get to know them better, that there might be some more of these kind of shadowy ways of being. And other people have worked with people like that and they kind of saw the truth of it. And, the Libra card and the fire card can be that people could look like they have things that make it look like they have justice in the world. And the fire energy can be, we're all kind of attracted to that. They look like they have justice in the world. I want to have justice in the world. And maybe with them, I could get justice in the world. The fire sign energy also can be that maybe people are attractive or good looking or charming, charismatic or something, right? But it can be that people live more from their mind than their heart, that they use their resources, their status, their image, their emotions, their sexuality, their money, their social clout in a manipulative kind of way. And they're not more authentically operating from a foundation of love. And I think some high vibe people have been in relationships with some people who they came to see that truth of. And some of those people got out of a relationship with them. Some of the shadowy people are trying to maybe hide that person was a sweetheart. They didn't want other people in their life to view that person as a more just, fair, stable, grounded, emotionally loving person, because they didn't maybe they wanted other people to have concerns about manifesting with those people. And they also could have wanted people to view them maybe more favorably. So trying to manipulate the truth. Some people might be more motivated to and inspired by the world, but they don't want people to know that love isn't what really drives and motivates them. They could want to be in relationships to be in a relationship, to enjoy a relationship. They could take into account, is this good for my ego and my image and my status, instead of maybe really being in relationships with people that they would really like to be in relationships with. If they are more materialistically motivated, they could want to be in relationships with people who, to them, seem like they have those things of the world that they want. Shadowy people, again, can try to manipulate people to try to get people to do what they want instead of just being truthful and honest and treating people in a more just and fair way. Right now, some people could be trying to manipulate some people either from their past who they wanted to have invest in them, but they're not. And, then it's like, oh, kind of looking at the mouse card is trying to eat away at other people's foundation, like to try to make people be in some fear, be in their ego, be in their competitive nature, be fearful that their dreams won't come into reality if these people aren't in a relationship with them. So sometimes they can get the fives, kind of makes me think of the Five of Wands and inner conflict, and that also can be the competition. So sometimes some people who are trying to manipulate someone, if that person wouldn't let them manipulate them, whether they're kind of high vibe people or more worldly shadowy people, doesn't matter. The more shadowy people could be people who it's like, I don't care if you're high vibe or you're low vibe. I just want to manipulate you. Who can I manipulate you? Who can I manipulate? If you are more bossy, controlling, more about ego or image or whatever, I really don't care. If you have those things of the world that I want, that would be kind of benefit to me and you'll let me manipulate you. If you're a loving person, so long as I can eat away at the foundation of who you are and manipulate you, then come on over. Let's get in a relationship. And so, but sometimes they'll go get in relationships with other people in order to manipulate those people. And for some people who might have tried that, both types of people could have left their life. Because there comes a point in time in our life where some people kind of like they have their truth. I am a more hopeful, believing, loving person, and they decide after observing and knowing some people like this, yep, we're not on the same path. This is my path. Then they could go get in relationships with people who they think are more like them or more about the world, but they're still kind of being manipulative. The other people are who they say they are. This is how I want to live my life. And, some people just have a lot of inner conflict and they haven't picked a path. Well, I don't know. I kind of like the loving people and I kind of like people to view me a certain way and the benefits that come with that. But then those people require me to be more just and fair and stable and motivated and inspired by love. And then that bothers me. And I'd really like to be more about myself or more indulgent in the world. And then I go hang out with people who are like that. But then, I might not like that because I feel like they're manipulating me for their own reasons. And then I kind of want to go back to hanging out with more loving people. And both kinds of people in their life could have said, I don't want anything to do with you. And that's where some people keep having this illusion they can just manipulate everybody forever. But other people pick a path. One way or the other, and then there's these people who kind of want to live in fantasy land where I want the best of both. When I'm with the loving people, I want to be kind of immature and shadowy, and I want them to indulge me in my poor behavior. And when I get in relationships with people who might be more shadowy or indulgent or egotistical or whatever, and that's good for my status or my ego or my image in a way, but then I want those people to be more loving, but it could be, you could look at it where it's always trying to manipulate someone else, but they never get inspired to get more balanced within themselves and choose a path. What is your truth? You have, to keep thinking, but I can't decide if I kind of want to be on my devil energy or I want to grow up and mature myself. It's like, well, you're going to have a hard time because the people who are more shadowy or worldly, that is their truth and they want you to be in that truth. And the people who are more balanced and loving want you to grow up and mature yourself. So some people right now who are kind of shadowy might feel like have some inner conflict. Because again, they could have gotten into things for, again, some of their own selfish reasons. Tried to manipulate some people. There's conflict and fighting. People have conflict with them. And then they kind of use other people to try to manipulate more people. And then the people they're in a relationship with can feel like these people have inner conflict. And I don't know. Let's jump to the last row. High vibe people have already seen the truth of people like that. They wish them peace. You go live your life. Go do what you want to do. I have learned lessons from this life experience. I'm going to work through my own fears and insecurities because I don't want to repeat that pattern. And until I can't change other people, but I can figure out why I was drawn and attracted to them to begin with. And then the difference is I've had people don't want to be in relationships with people who aren't aligned with being more just and fair and truthful and honest and loving. And I kind of started. Well, I was kind of thinking something with the Capricorn energy, but Libra and Aries are on opposite sides of the zodiac wheel. And I initially, because Virgo is represented by the Knight of Pentacles. And when we do that inner work within ourselves, we come out with the truth. And that truth is kind of what sets us free to live our life differently. And Virgo and Pisces are on the opposite sides of the zodiac wheel. And so we can be tipped into one side or the other of things we used to be fired up about and what we thought was just and fair. We go through these life lessons, and then we could get more balance between being too indulgent to our own shadow nature, other people in shadowy energy, and we get more grounded and balanced with it between our Pisces and our Virgo energy to get more balanced. And then when we're more balanced and we're not tipped out of balance and not indulging other people in their poor behavior, that is when we feel more inspired to believe that we can manifest our dreams into reality and feel more confident within ourselves. Because again, Gemini, kind of the magician card is Gemini, which, like Libra, is air sign energy. But now, instead of being more kind of maybe caught up in these things of the world that drive and motivate us, we're more grounded because we've learned some lessons. Do I want some of these things of the world in my life? Yes. But I've also learned that if it's not balanced and if I'm not more balanced, I'm going to get myself probably in some type of imbalanced relationship. So it starts with me. And Aries energy, which is what the stork card is about the self. I maybe need to take some time to kind of put some things on hold that I thought was my idea of victory and success in the world, in order to take some time to get more balance within myself and really get clear. Gemini is about our dualistic nature, about what my truth is. And do I think I have the resources? And we do. At any given moment, we do have all the resources we need to begin to manifest our dreams into reality, because it does kind of start. Pisces is the imaginative, creative realm, and air sign energy is of the mind and our thoughts and our thinking, and fire sign energy, just trying to really put those things into action, because that's how things come in. They're first an idea, right? And then we have to be careful, though. What kind of seeds am I planting? If I'm planting shadowy Pisces seeds, where it's more about caught up in the illusion, I'm going to manifest the illusion. So I need to ground myself and maybe be inspired that I do want these things of the world, but I also want these things of the world. And I can't change other people. And if there's people in my life who I know are on somewhere on the spectrum of having learned lessons, and I've already learned that some things I don't like, again, I'm not going to try to change other people. I've already been there and done that. And it is very hard to change people's ways of living life and viewing life, and because they are that way because they feel it's just and fair to be that way, or they wouldn't be that way, right? So it's like, I'm not going to try to change someone else's truth. That would be like a very big uphill battle. I'm going to find the people who kind of seem to just be more on the same page as me. And that could have been a pattern I had, that I was again, a person can be very loving, very nurturing, very abundant in a lot of ways, and thinking, I will give those to these people, whatever it is that you have to give people. In high vibe, it would be love, but other people could use other things to help people because there's different ways to help people. But what is the intention behind it? Is it because, well, now I want you to be indebted to me? Now I want you to do things my way. And that's how some shadowy people operate. And eventually people have inner conflict about continuing to invest in them because I think your intention behind why you're trying to manifest it isn't based on truth and love. It's kind of more you or ego or image or how you benefit. But love, which is the truth, it's supposed to be just and fair, and it's supposed to be motivated and inspired by love, not something else. So I think there's different types of people in the world right now, and people in their Pisces energy could be listening to their intuition about the different people in their life and people they could, if they wanted to, get in relationship with or invest more time, energy, and effort into. The people in their life that they're currently investing time, energy, and effort into, and trying to figure out who are the people who are more driven and inspired by themselves or the world or indulgence. Who are the people in the world who I think are more just and fair and balanced and inspired by truth and love and encourage me to love and believe in myself? Because shadowy people, if they're not willing to deal with the things that manipulate them, they don't want you to deal with the things that manipulate you. So it's kind of like you won't kind of grow to your full potential because they don't plan to grow to their full potential of just, it could just be, I like living my life at this stage of life and I don't have any intention of wanting to step out of it. And that's fine. Everybody can live their life the way they want. But if people kind of already know that, kind of like your truth and what you think is just and fair and what motivates and inspires you and what you want to manifest, that causes me some inner conflict because it's maybe not what I love or what's aligned with my truth. And I think high vibe people kind of get to the point where everybody should be free to live their life the way they want it. They're just going to have their consequences to their life, if they're unjust, unkind, unfair, abusive, committing crimes or whatever, they're going to have some consequences they're going to have to deal with. And high vibe people offer love and encouragement to people to work through their fears and insecurities, but we can't make people do that. And we also had to learn that I could have gotten in relationships with people, because if I don't get in relationships with people who are more on the same page as me, being in our shadow nature can kind of be in our ego. And I would have never thought this until I did tarot, because I'm a very loving, nurturing person. But it can kind of be being in your ego because we're not in relationships with people who challenge us to kind of deal with some of our issues. It's like always getting in relationships. Well, they're kind of immature. Oh, they're kind of reckless. Oh, they're kind of this. Oh, they're kind of that. And we can have hope and faith and belief and love. And we want people to, expecting people will grow up and mature themselves and get out of maybe some of those more immature ways of being. But why aren't we just in relationships with people who are more on the same page as us? And part of that could have been too that, you can be a very loving person, but you really haven't learned to love yourself. And that can be a pattern that you're repeating. Like, if people who were more on the same page as you at some time in your life and wanted to be in a relationship with you, it's like, oh, no, not me. No. I go try to help other people that have problems or immature or whatever. Because this relationship, then I'd have to deal with my own issues. And if I'm in a relationship with them, I don't have to deal really with my issues because I'm just focused on theirs. And it doesn't really challenge me to a degree. But the whole thing is, God wants us to get to the truth no matter what, and we can either choose the easier path or we can choose the harder path. And just like some of us chose the harder path, it will make you think, oh my God, is this what I want to keep manifesting? Because I got in a relationship with someone who they're not very loving or nurturing or warm or authentic, or they're immature. Why do I do this? Do I want to keep repeating this pattern? I want justice and fairness, and both people have to equally be putting in work and effort to bring that dream into reality. One person can't do it on their own. The other person has to work with them cooperatively from love to bring that dream into reality. And that's when people get like the light bulb moment, which is Pisces energy of the hangman. I can't keep doing this. The only person I can change is me. And I don't want to be in relationships anymore with people who aren't motivated and inspired by love. So then, as we move forward, we have different people in the world. And the way I would interpret this is that shadowy people do try to confuse people about the truth of who they are, and it is to create this illusion about who they are. And we can all meet these different people in the world, and we don't know if they are who they say they are. So we can get to know people. You could be getting to know people. Some other people might want to get to know you more. And it's all to try to figure out, what do you think is just and fair? What motivates and inspires you? What do you want to manifest? The shadowy people are trying to figure out if they can manipulate you. You might seem very just and fair and inspired and stable and grounded and moving forward in a way that could look very successful. But they wonder, is that really who you are? Or do you not love yourself really, and I can manipulate you? And I can maybe tempt you more with these things of the world and status and ego and image. Or just to be more codependent on me. And they would be hiding that they harness these energies in a more shadowy way. The high vibe people are going out in the world. They already know the truth about some people in their life, just like the shadowy people know. They know, if they already know some people are motivated and inspired by love, and those people saw the truth of who they were, and that those people don't want to work with them anymore, they're letting those people go. You go. I'm going to hide the fact that you're a high vibe person. I don't want people to know that, because I want people to view me as this just and fair and stable, balanced, loving person that they should align with. The high vibe people are going out in the world. Some of the shadowy people just think you're creating a better illusion than they are, and they don't understand how you're doing it. They might want to get to know you to figure out how you do what you do, because you aren't creating an illusion. You really do seem to be moving forward in a way that it doesn't seem like you're maybe trying to put on a persona, not as concerned. You're just living your more authentic life, because high vibe energy is being just more independent, being more authentic, not trying to manipulate or seduce or tempt or whatever people, because you don't want to be in relationships with people who are in that kind of shadowy energy. So you're going out in the world. Some shadowy people don't see you clearly, because when we're in our shadow nature, it kind of clouds our judgment. And that also in Pisces can be represented by the moon card, not seeing things clearly. And there'll be some shadowy people that you're going to meet that'll try to manipulate you, try to cause you inner conflict, try to get you in your ego, not to love and believe in yourself so they can manipulate you for their own purposes. If that's people at work, people in your community, people in your family, whatever. And they're not seeing you clearly. And as you keep maintaining balance within yourself, maybe in your Capricorn energy, not making it so difficult with it being a mountain for people to like approach you and be in relationship with you, but you're also not in shadowy energy. Again, you're kind of maintaining balance. The opposite sign of Capricorn is Cancer. Cancer also is ruled by the moon. So maybe we got some moon kind of Cancer energy that we're kind of dealing with too. But as you keep maintaining balance within yourself and being inspired to believe that you do have the resources, staying focused in Gemini energy on truth and love to guide you and the decisions that you make, there's going to be other people who are going to be frustrated because they can't kind of manipulate you the way they would like to manipulate other people, and maybe do manipulate other people. And it can be challenging if they do have to work with you in a way, because that is their normal mode of operating. And so it could cause them some inner conflict, because it kind of challenges how they operate. And they can't maybe use their normal tactics. And other people could be attracted to you or want to hire you or be friends with you or get to know you because they do see you as a very just, fair, stable, inspired person who seems to treat other people the way you like to be treated. That I believe this card here saying the second house is Taurus energy. And shadowy Taurus energy can be a more transactional type relationship, but high vibe Taurus is that, we've all got our issues, but you try to walk the talk and do the best you can, treating, again, people the way you like to be treated. And there can be some people in your life, they have no interest in being in a romantic relationship with you, but they can like your friendship. If you work there, they can like your work ethic. They can like the energy that you bring. But the shadowy people are going to hide from people they harness this in a more shadowy way. And that people who harness it in a more high vibrational way have left their life. High vibe people are harnessing it in a more high vibe way. It's just the shadowy people don't know it yet. More people that you'll meet who kind of think they can be the next person to indulge themselves in a relationship with you. Let's go see what they are. The crossroads, the expectation, and the great water. So the great water could kind of be like the Ace of Cups, Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer, all three emotional water signs. There could be some people who think the crossroads is Libra energy, kind of representing the Two of Swords. There could be some people that might think you feel stuck, that you're trying to manifest some new beginning, but they could think that you have mental conflict or inner conflict about believing if you can manifest your dreams into reality. But as some of those people could get to know you, and some people have already found out that you're not stuck with the crossroads in reverse. You have, through this life experiences that you've gone through, you've gotten clear about what your truth is, and you're aligned with, I choose to align with my more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And I offer, I work to maintain balance within myself. I'm inspired to love and believe in myself. I offer truth and love and compassion to myself and issues from my past and people from my past, so I can be at peace about it and I can keep moving forward, and I don't let negative people in my life, negative experiences in my life keep manipulating me. I've seen the truth of it. Everybody is where they're at. Some of the people I could have at one time viewed as more just and fair and stable and balanced and loving and nurturing, and then as time went by I kind of could realize that really wasn't their truth, and I just kind of made peace with it. That's kind of like high vibe Libra. I've made peace with the truth of it. And high vibe Virgo, I accept that people are where they're at. We're not all on the same page at the same time. Some of the people were lovely. Some of the people could view me as lovely. We just weren't on the same page at the same time. Can we know all these people in the world? And yeah, no, I don't think we're on the same page to hang out more as friends, but I think you're awesome, you're cool. Do we like kind of Are we kind of like investing our time, energy, and effort into some of the same things? No. Can there be people who want to date me or people I want to date and it doesn't work out? But can we think they're great people? But we're looking for the people who are the right people. And you, in the expectation card, with that being a feminine figure, the feminine figures can just represent how we think and feel. And you have hope and faith and belief in your dreams, and you're listening to your intuition. You're not enveloped in your emotions in a more shadowy way. And that's what sometimes some people are counting on. That you could be a very loving, nurturing person. Other people could know you're a loving, nurturing person. And they're thinking because you could be frustrated if you don't have someone in your life to manifest that type of relationship with, that it really frustrates you. But it's like, I believe the divine has a plan for my life, and I'm not going to get in relationships with people I shouldn't get in a relationship with because I am this emotionally complex person as a human being, and that's kind of the Scorpio aspect. I don't want to invest in people who aren't more on the same page as me. Why would I do that? Might be a little bit out of thinking I'm the boss or I can control things or thinking I can change people or, you know, I want to be available when the right type of person does come along in my life. And some other people didn't do that. They didn't do some of this inner work. They could have taken action more out of something they wanted to manifest, got themselves involved in something, and then, they have inner conflict because it really wasn't based on love. And but then they kind of created this illusion of how wonderful it was and how just their life was and how inspiring it was or whatever. Well, then what if somebody comes along that does seem to be the type of person they'd want to be in a relationship with? And it's like, oh shit. you know, Then some people who are more motivated and inspired by their image, because Taurus energy also can be about our image and how people view us, that's like, oh my gosh, I created this illusion that this was like my dream relationship or something. And when some people got in it, maybe they did think it was going to be, but then as time went by, it's kind of like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, and we're not really on the same page, and we might have jumped the gun too fast and gotten more involved in it than we should have. And then, in order to get out of those situations we get ourselves in, we'd have to be willing to reveal the truth. And some people could really have some inner conflict about revealing the truth about something that they manifested, that this doesn't seem to be aligned with my truth, and I would maybe like to go do something else. And that's when some people can think, I know, I'll try to manipulate the truth because I have inner conflict about people knowing the truth, and kind of viewing this like the Five of Wands. I could be in my ego about it. And some people are in relationships, they'd like to get in a relationship with someone else, but they don't know if they can manipulate that person. And it's all this conundrum. But some high vibe people aren't stuck. What people don't know about them is, even if they're not in a relationship with someone, for those of you who are single, they're doing this work to get more stable and grounded within themselves, love themselves, heal, listening to their intuition. If there's not people for me to get in a more involved relationship, I have other things in my life that are part of me getting justice in the world. It could be investing in my career. It could be my unique talent, skills, and interests, my friends, my family, enjoying my life, reading, art, whatever your unique talents are, or whatever. And I have trust and faith and belief that if I keep being someone who walks the talk, I think there's other people out there who've kind of went through similar experiences that don't want to get tangled up in things they shouldn't be tangled up with to begin with. And I think the divine wants us to kind of refer to it as getting your divine inheritance, but you have to have learned these lessons, or again, you can be given like a gift, a golden opportunity, but because you still have these issues you haven't dealt with, somebody could manipulate you or tempt you or whatever again. And some people who are in relationships and they still haven't dealt with those issues, they can still be tempted in kind of being more self indulgent in some way and being a little bit more inspired by the world or themselves. And, to look at it that, to try to wrap your brain around it, that sometimes we weren't wanting to see the truth. So then God can use other people and we can get really mad at third parties, like friends or family or romantic interests that could take some people out of our life. But really, it gets to be over time where you get to a place of thank you, because it was helping to reveal something that was hidden in the foundation that either was being kept hidden or because we were putting this work and effort thinking or just not wanting to see the truth. But it's kind of like God wants us to see the truth, and our other people who aren't telling the truth in a way, they kind of want to reveal their truth. And other people, it's trying to basically kind of get everybody on the same page that they should be on. If we're in more mismatched relationships, the more high vibe person is being manipulated, the more shadowy person is creating an injustice, and that's not just and fair. And so it's trying to get people in the relationships that they should be in to learn the lessons they were meant to learn and to heal and grow and mature themselves. And if they're not healed and grown and matured and they're trying to hide that, God's trying to kind of get them out of that relationship and get them in a relationship that's more appropriate for them. And if the high vibe people have been indulging someone in shadowy behavior, eventually it kind of gets too much where it's like, I can't do this anymore. That is not a mountain I'm willing to climb. It shouldn't be that hard. When you're going with the flow of life, do you go through difficulties and challenges? Yes. But it should be people working cooperatively with you than fighting against you, right? So the high vibe people aren't stuck. They have hope and faith and belief in their dreams, and they're trusting that there's more to work with in this world than just these things of the world. We do live in the world. We do want stability and security. Need to be balanced between our worldly nature, our loving nature, our passionate nature, our thinking, intelligent nature. And it's just to kind of be a well-rounded individual in a way that I can provide stability and security for myself. I can emotionally love myself. I can be creative. More self-sufficient and independent so other people can't kind of try to prey on a spot in your life that you haven't kind of been inspired to put work and effort into, right? Because then we can be more tempted in that area. And then we have this card not showing itself at the end of the reading, the main female. So for one, emotionally, to get out of more codependent energy, in the Five of Wands and Leo energy, we have to learn to be that more loving, nurturing person in our own life, or we'll keep being in more codependent energy, whether we're male or female. And then we'll get in relationships with people who like more codependent relationships for their own reasons. They could be looking for someone who's very loving and giving and nurturing, like to play the role of the mother in their life. If we've got mother issues that we haven't healed from, if we haven't learned to love and believe in ourselves, we'll have other people come in our life that you should look to me to get the justice you deserve in the world. And then I want you to keep looking to me and investing in me. And especially if you're a loving, nurturing person, or you just got money or whatever you got, keep giving it to me. But it's more for how they benefit, but not really motivated and inspired to be in a relationship with you because of love. They want you to keep being more codependent on them. And it's like, I've learned to love myself. And I've kind of worked through feeling stuck where I was expecting and looking outside of myself for people to love me and give me those things. When I learn to love me emotionally, I'm more balanced and stable and grounded within myself. And I've changed and I'm not the same person I was before. So if before I wasn't listening to my intuition, which is what the Two of Swords can talk about also, I've learned to listen to my intuition. If I used to kind of be someone because I'm so aligned with having hope and faith and belief and love that I always think other people are and will be, but I got to see the truth that they're not. If I know people who like to live more from their mind than their heart, are kind of more about themselves, are more about indulging themselves, are more about trying to manipulate people to get what they want, they've kind of made their free will choice and I accept it. And I'm no longer kind of in that more naive, gullible way of thinking that not everybody aligns with hope and faith and belief and love. Because we live in a world of duality, for every person who's more aligned in their hopeful believing spirit, there's other people that are kind of the exact opposite. And that is the truth of the foundation they could operate from. But there's people in our life who can mirror our life, that they also build their life on truth and love. But, and those are more the people that we stay in relationship and friendship with. And we're looking for other people that have kind of went through those similar experiences. In our dualistic nature, we can have people in our life who we could have what would seem like they're aligned in a way with, but aligned with our truth in a way, but it's more of our shadowy worldly truth. You know, if I were to make my life more tipped into being about these things or giving up my dreams and making my life more about the world, these would be the people I could be in a relationship with and stay in a relationship with. And that's why it can be so confusing. But it's to finally realize that subtle difference that, but they're not motivated and inspired to grow or heal or mature themselves or deal with their inner conflict to free themselves of it, to align with their more loving nature. And if that is what ultimately drives and motivates me, is to be in authentic loving relationships, and I'm less about the ego or the image or the indulgence or me, I need to find other people that have went through similar or just living life. Not, could be people I don't know that I will meet. Maybe as I'm moving forward, I am working to manifest that new beginning. And I'm not investing my time, energy, and effort as much into the people who I could be in friendship or relationship or work for. But I've already kind of seen the truth that their truth is different than my truth. So instead, it's kind of like I wish them peace. I've kind of become independent of that foundation. And I've changed and I'm inspired to have this new beginning. And so some people who could think you're just creating an illusion, they don't realize that you're not the same person you were before. And the more shadowy people might be hiding that they don't listen to their intuition because their high vibe nature is trying to tell them this isn't just, this isn't fair, you're kind of manipulating the truth, you're trying to tempt people more in their lust or their greed or use the love that they have for you to get to manipulate them, and you shouldn't do that. But they keep ignoring their intuition, maybe because when they tried to manifest it sometime in their life with people who they viewed as loving, those people had a problem being more authentic and loving. And then some of those people decided, that's it, I'm not doing love anymore. Now I'm going to live more from my mind than my heart. It's going to be more about me just indulging myself in a relationship. Or they came to the conclusion, is this what happens in the world? Loving people get manipulated? Well, boy, I'm not going to be one of the manipulated people. I'm going to be one of the people who takes advantage of loving people. And the loving people dealt with people who are shadowy. It's just the loving people work through it to see the truth. And I'm not going to give up my dreams of love and blanket statement everyone as being awful or manipulative or whatever. I've just learned these lessons about who's who, and I've learned to get to know people and listen to my intuition and maintain balance and require balance in a relationship, that people have to treat me in a just and fair way, and I can be loving and encouraging and supportive, but if people don't seem to be that way, then I'm going to kind of distance myself and move on. And there's other high vibe people in the world, in their friendships, relationships, and workplaces that are in that same energy, and they're looking for people who are more like them. You're looking for people who are more like you to be in friendship and relationship with. The people in your life, whether you're in romantic relationships or friendships or family, the people who work together with you, who accept that you don't have to live your life exactly like they live their life, and they wish you peace and you wish them peace, and they're still loving and encouraging. You do you, I'll do me. Those are people we keep staying in relationship with. But it has to be where you treat each other in this just and fair way, that out of like love for each other. Again, you could be somewhere on the spectrum, but I love you. I wish you the best. I hope everything works out for you. And, you can enjoy each other's company. You can be friends. You can work together, friends or family. And it's the people who you think are more on the same page as you that you're going to invest your time, energy, and effort into. They're going to invest their time, energy, and effort into the people that are more aligned with them, and we can wish everybody peace. So even some of the shadowy people, they're not stuck either. They know what their truth is, and they know how they want to live their life. And some of those people, they're not trying to, in a way, they want to be in a relationship with people who are view life the way they view it. If it is, let's go indulge in this, it'll make us happy. Let's spend our time doing this. Let's be more about the ego or the image. They're truthful about it, and with the people that they're in a relationship with, know that's their truth. But there's always the people that are kind of trying to present themselves one way, trying to manipulate a more loving person to indulge them in their more shadowy way of being, instead of, it's kind of like someone, say they really like to drink a lot, but they try to act like they don't, but then when they get someone in their life who just, I think things of the world are meant to be enjoyed, but if you do it in balance and moderation, it doesn't throw your life out of balance, and you're not giving it that much importance in your life. It's just something that you enjoy, but then they can try to get the loving people to indulge them in being more out of balance in it. And it's, why not just go hang out with people who like to do that? Why create this illusion? I don't know why people do that. Anyway, what's coming up? Everybody is trying to get what they think is justice based on what motivates and inspires them, and that is what they're going to invest their time, energy, and effort into. So if you were wondering maybe why some people aren't, you might not know their truth, but they might know yours. So there might be people who know that you're this just and fair and inspired and authentic and loving person, and they're like, yeah, goddamn, that'd be great, but no, because I've already been in relationships with people who are like that, and I've already found out that's not my truth. And so I'm going to go invest my time, energy, and effort. If I like to manipulate people, I'm going to go find someone I can manipulate. If I'm very competitive in the world, I can't compete with you, because you won't compete with me in that way, because you don't think life is about competing and fighting with people. And I want to find somebody who'll fight with me, or I want to get in a relationship with someone who's more caught up in my charm or my looks or my money and will indulge me, or maybe I'll go indulge someone for that. High vibe people are looking for peace and justice, where people are inspired to grow and heal and mature themselves and face their fears and keep growing to their full potential. What's coming up for the high vibe people they might not see coming? The Knight of Swords. Why? The Knight of Swords and the Five of Swords. Why? Because of the Two of Wands. High vibe people took inspired action to believe in their dreams. That's what the Two of Wands. Aries energy is about. I have a dream of what I want to give birth to. I've been in friendships, relationships, and workplaces where I saw their truth was different than my truth. So I got inspired to speak my truth and stand up for what I think is just and fair, because the Knight of Swords comes from the King and Queen of Swords. The King of Swords is Libra energy. They have their truth, I have my truth. And I've probably already, well, some people already did. Other people could just now be going through it, where they're telling people their truth. And the truth is that I have mental conflict with your dream. You have mental conflict with my dream. And I see the truth of it. And I've kind of meditated on the truth of it. And that's where high vibe people maybe, I mean, it doesn't mean they can't be angry, and sad and upset, but I just see the truth of it. And your truth is different than my truth, and I've come to a place of peace about it. And you have your way of wanting to live your life, and you should live your life like that. I'm not going to try to change you anymore. And I don't want someone trying to change me. You know, like, say if you were in a relationship and somebody's like, well, you have to act this way and you have to dress this way and quit hanging out with those people and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know what? I just want to live my authentic life. And shadowy Taurus, which this card kind of reminded me of, also can be like all these unwritten rules and regulations that some people have in their head about. It's like, I think I'm just going to go live my more authentic life. And the world can judge me because they're going to judge me anyway based more on who they are. And I'm just going to go live my life. I'm not trying to be scandalous. I'm not trying to offend anyone. And I'm just going to go out in the world and try to make good decisions in my life that seem just and fair, loving and encouraging and supportive. I might know all sorts of different people. I don't necessarily think some people are blatantly bad or awful because they look a certain way or have certain types of employment or whatever, you know. And other people, you know, depends on how snooty of an area you come from. And this whole life experience could have been to get people to stand up for themselves and to get more clear about their truth and be willing to stand up for what they believe in and get themselves unstuck and quit waiting for other people to change. I wish people peace. If we're not on the same page at the same time, I'm not going to take action more out of pride or ego or any of those reasons. I'm going to take action in truth and love. And maybe the Five of Swords comes after the Four of Swords, which, you know, in between the 1 and the 5 is the 2 and the 3 and the 4, which is all Libra energy. I could have been stuck. I could have felt confused. I could have been heartbroken. I could have felt betrayed. I could have loved people. Other people didn't seem very loving or something. And I just meditated on the truth of all of it. And I wish you peace. But I've seen who I do want to invest my time, energy, and effort into and who I don't, because I have a dream I want to bring into reality, and I'm not going to try to change anyone. You do you, and I'm going to do me. And I think as you move forward in that energy, taking action out of truth and love and justice and fairness, wanting to work cooperatively with people, to move forward, to have these new beginnings, not in your ego, not trying to manipulate people, not trying to tempt people in their shadow nature. I think other people also are going to see you in that energy, and there will be people who want you to keep moving forward with them, the people that are currently in your life, and some people will become defensive. The people in your life who didn't want you to work through this inner conflict will become defensive to you. And for some people, that could be surprising. Why are you acting like that? It's like, well, because you've changed. You're not doing this. I wanted you to do this. It's like, I did do that, and then I realized that wasn't my truth, so now I'm moving forward in life differently. And there's always going to be people who don't like that you've changed, because, again, we have these people that we hang out with and we kind of align with, and when we're not in that way of viewing life or thinking about life anymore, we're kind of not doing life like that, and they want us to keep doing life like that because that's what they still want to do. It's like, you can go do it, it just won't be with me. I won't be hanging out doing that as much or whatever, you know? I have a dream I'm trying to bring into reality. And I've already been at maybe that phase of life. And maybe you're just getting into it. And I'm just exiting it. And then there's going to be other people that see you as a just and fair and stable and grounded and creative, inspired person that tells you they want you to keep moving forward with them, you know? When one door closes, another door opens, because life is all about learning lessons. So people will kind of come into our life to try to see, and like the game of life, trying to see, did you learn that lesson or did you not? You can go repeat it if you want, and it's just going to cause you the same old problems it caused you before. But you have free will to keep repeating an old pattern forever if you want. If you keep not wanting to see the truth, if you keep wanting to do whatever, you can. You are manifesting your life. What do you want? Have you learned the lesson? Are you going to listen to your intuition? Are you going to be more bold and brave and speak your truth and stand up for yourself in justice and fairness? Well, then I guess you're going to move on to the next phase of life of learning lessons. What's coming up for the more worldly, shadowy people that they don't see coming? The Six of Swords, the Empress, the Six of Pentacles, and the Nine of Swords. Why? Because of the Virgo Hermit. So, some of the shadowy people want to hide from the truth because the truth sets us free. The high vibe people have done the work to see the truth, and the truth is setting them free. But some other people aren't ready to see the truth yet, and they keep thinking, no, 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 no. You know, here the Six of Swords moves away from the Five of Swords. The high vibe people were inspired to see the truth of their mental conflict, so they could work through of it, to be free of it, to move on from it. But the more worldly, shadowy people are like, well, I'm not ready to deal with the truth. And we're all ready to deal with the truth when we're ready, right? But they're not ready to deal with the truth. So they keep thinking that the answer is either to keep kind of in shadowy the Empress and the Six of Pentacles, which is Libra, Taurus, and Taurus energy, and Gemini energy, which in shadow would be living more from their mind than their heart. And the difference between the Six of Swords and the Nine of Swords is the Three of Swords, which is Libra energy. I have this way of viewing life that I think is just and fair, or I'm heartbroken, or I'm sad, or things aren't going the way I wanted them to go. I have an idea. I'm either going to keep, well, for one, they're going to keep indulging in their more worldly view of life instead of doing this inner work to deal with the truth and close out a cycle. And they're probably going to align with people in their life who encourage them to live their life that way. People who might say, I'm a loving person, you should be in a relationship with me. I'll exchange time, energy, and effort with you because I also don't want to deal with the truth of something. And I like to hide from the truth too. And, you know, high vibe energies, being more independent in the world, being a leader in the world. other people, it's kind of more about looking victorious and successful or looking like a boss in the world. And then it can be to get in relationships with people so you have a certain status or image. And then sometimes there's the more shadowy people, they really don't want to do love because you can get hurt doing love. Causes them a lot of inner conflict, a lot of mental conflict. I get hurt. I don't want to do that. I know. It's just kind of a more operating more from your self-protective egoic nature or competitive in the world nature. I'm sure if I indulge in these things more, or I find someone to indulge in those things with me, I'll be happy. Or if I make my life more about money or status or image, and I have more status or image, that will be the answer to my problems. Then I won't have my stress and my anxiety or my fears or my inner conflict or my lack mentality. I will look like I have justice in the world. But they keep investing not in truth and love. They keep looking to these other things and other people to be the answer. And the answer keeps lying within them. But for some of them, they just haven't learned to love themselves. And so it's always looking to these things outside of themselves to make them feel better. And all those things, all these things I could go indulge in, or all these things I think will make me feel better, it never deals with the issue in the foundation. And it'll probably get worse and worse over time when we keep not willing to deal with it. And some people don't want to reveal the truth. And so then they're just not like living their authentic life and trying to manipulate people, creating an illusion. Oh, I'm so happy or whatever. And eventually other high vibe people in their life that could have been loving, nurturing people to them. Again, other people trying to provide a loving, nurturing environment. But until these people do this work within themselves, it's like a black void. You can pour cups of love, you can pour encouragement, but until they realize that I have to harness those energies within me, and why don't I? Because otherwise it always keeps me codependent on other people to provide those things for me. Why don't I provide those things within myself to myself? Why don't I give myself those things? And there's always going to be other people who are willing to manipulate people that are in that energy. And some of these people think maybe they're so smart and they can manipulate people. They're going to find someone who looks for people like them to manipulate. You seem pretty worried about, I don't know, you want to be immature and indulgent? Perfect. I will present myself as a loving person who doesn't want to change you, but maybe it's just to be in a relationship, or because that person gives them some things of the world that they want. We're either wanting people in it to get what we can get out of it, or those people will use their want to have a certain status and image or whatever to manipulate them to get them to maybe kind of more indulge them in a relationship. And again, some people that are about the ego and the image more and money, it can be just as bad of an addiction practically as people with drugs or alcohol. Enough is never enough. And so wanting it that no matter how bad or abusive it gets, they'll stay in it for it. And some of these people never thought that would happen to them because they could have thought they were and they could be very smart people. But if they weren't seeing how they made those things so important in their life, things will occur in their life to try to get them to see the truth about how that manipulates them. And then they'll be really stressed out, which we all can be. Why do we have a hard time leaving some jobs, friendships, and relationships? Because we'd have to be more independent. We'd have to deal with our fears and insecurities. If there is stability and security, it's hard to leave. And it's all to be more willing to kind of not compromise our truth, because there will be people who will try to manipulate us if we're not willing to stand up for our truth. And the people who aren't willing to reveal the truth, be more just and fair, are trying to manipulate other people, are more self-indulgent, they might have an opportunity that to them looks like, oh my gosh, this is everything I've been wanting. But they don't realize that it is going to be something that really eats away at their foundation. Just like when we turn to our shadowy nature and we think, oh no, boy, I'm going to act like this, or I'm going to be envious, or I'm going to be jealous, or I'm going to be petty, or I'm going to go indulge in these things. We don't realize we're kind of driving our life off into the ditch. But we have the free will to speak the truth, act with character and integrity, get out of our ego, and we'll learn lessons that way. But we can always take the harder road. Either way, there's a key on either mirror. We're gonna have to deal with the truth sooner or later. It's just one is the easier path and one is the much harder path. And we've both been on both. And sometimes we just have people in our life that haven't learned some of the life lessons that we've learned, and they're gonna have to go learn those lessons the hard way, just like we have. So we wish him peace. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going down that path. I've already been there. Thank you. And I'm going this way. But you can, because I can't change your mind anyway. Just like probably nobody could change my mind back when I thought it was just and fair to do whatever the hell I did. So I wish you all peace, love, and joy. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.